Hi everyone, my name is Gordon Smart and this training is brought to you by Govik Sound. This tag Understanding Live Sound Principle. Once again, you are welcome. Today we'll be continuing the training series of understanding the dynamics of church sound. And for those of you who missed out for that video, please you can go back to the previous post and check it out. And that was actually the very first video, right? Okay, but then before we proceed, I would like you to go down to my social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and all of that. Follow, like, share, comment, and spread it like wildfire so that everyone, your technical guys, your audio guys, we can all learn together. I hope that's fine. The link and handles are displayed down there on the screen. I'll wait for you to do that. Alright, having done that, let's dive into the business of today. Today we will be talking about something very important, something which is very basic and very key to understanding audio engineering or understanding the live sound. Now we'll be on the previous class we talked a little bit about where we welcomed ourselves into the class, and also we talked a little bit on sound appreciation. Today we have a topic before us and it is tagged the history of sound system. Wow, that's interesting, right? Have you ever wondered how sound was communicated to thousands and hundreds of persons in those days? I mean, for instance, in the Holy Book, where we hear stuff like Jesus Christ preached to thousands of persons, and obviously, historically, there is no proof that there was any technology that was, produced as medium of transmitting or amplifying sound from one place to the other. There was nothing like that. So the question still remains, how was that possible? How was it communicated to hundreds of persons, to thousands of persons according to the Holy Book? And not just Jesus Christ, other people, I mean, in those days, there was somehow a way where they were being able to, pass message across to each other or across to thousands or a huge or large number of persons. So today we'll be looking into all of that, the early beginning of sound system, how it started and all of that. Alright, well, in those days, sound was transmitted to thousands or hundreds of persons, or better still, let's just put it, large number of persons through echo. Yeah, you've heard of the word echo, right? Yeah, it was done through echo. And then at the second stage, they now began to use horns. Yeah, horns. Yeah. And then they use the horn and then talk into the horn or speech into the horn. And then that helps to, amplify it to some point. This was the basic beginning of live sound. And of course, that also had a lot of challenges. So, of course, man kept on revolving and tried to see how to, make life better. And in the course of making life better, they now got to the first stage. In the 19th century, precisely in 1877, Thomas Edison brought the first technology that was used to amplify and record sound, and it is known as the phonograph, right? And it looks just like this. Yeah, so apparently we'll say he is the father of sound engineer. Or he was one of the pioneer of, modern PA system, Thomas Edison in 1877, right? Alright, so that went on and on until the early 20th century. In the early 20th century, or 20th century, an American inventor known as Lee De Forest, right? Lee De Forest was then brought about what they called the vacuum tube. This was now driven electronically. Apparently, it was the first electronic, capturing and amplifying system that was electronically driven. Of course, man right from onset has always been wanting to develop, has always quest for knowledge, has always want to advance from stage to stage. Hence, this advancement and revolution brought about the loudspeakers. The loudspeakers was the loudspeaker was developed in the year 1920. Yeah, 1920. That was oh, don't you? Yeah, so it was developed 1920. All right, so the very first loudspeaker was developed using electromagnets. Yeah, electromagnet to convert electrical signal to sound. Yeah, I think that's still what plays out even till date. Yeah, but this was basically one of the major revolution of sound system by the time the replacement of vacuum tube by speaker came in, and that was one of the major turning points that that we are seeing even till decades. Still in that same decade, the development of carbon mic, the development of microphone. The first mic was carbon mic, and later followed by the dynamic mic and the condenser mic of today was developed. Here, the technology of converting acoustic signal to electric signal was brought in. Yeah. All right, prior to this development in the 1930s, yeah, that was in the early 1930s, the circulation of PA system began to take effect. So large gathering now began to use PA system for their meetings, for their concerts and all of that. But then this also had a challenge, and the challenge was that that first step they were using, you just had a microphone, an amplifier and a speaker. Yeah, you just have a microphone, amplifier and a speaker. So they had a challenge, and the challenge was that you can't have two signals going in at once. It was just one signal at a time. So there was no, you can't, now you can play your guitar, you can play your keyboard, you can sing and all of that at the same time, concurrently. But then in those days, you just have just one signal go through at a time. So that was a challenge, and that led to man keep searching and searching and searching. So also note that this was more or less like mono. Yeah, so it was more or less like, you just have just one speaker, you just have just one sound source. So if we were to relate it to an average man these days, you will see stuff like your headphone, your earpiece, it was just one side, and they were being able to develop just one side in those days. So, and of course, this was, it was just one time, once at a time and all of that. So that was really, really becoming challenging. And of course, man still continued to search, and that brought about stereo sound. Yeah, stereo sound, where you now have your left and your right ear and your left ear, and that makes your audio a balanced audio, where your two ears can get audio, can get sound. So, and this was actually in 1950. Yeah, this was in the early 1950s. That was when this invention of stereo sound came into place. So at this point now, you can now begin to have two sound sources running at the same time. Okay, and that now brought about you can now add different things, both your inputs. You can now have 2-3 inputs, and then you can have a stereo output. Okay, I hope that's clear. Remember, all of this was just processes and stages where sound was moving from one level to the other. Then this now led us to the invention of line array speaker. Yeah, line array speaker came in the year 1990. Yeah, and it was used by the rock and roll empire. The music, I think that was rock and roll was actually one of the first gene of music in those days, and those early music empires used it in stadiums and large gathering to project their music skill and display their skills or their talent on different musical instruments. This now brought about what we still have till date, the line array speakers. It has been a long process, right? It has been a really, really long one. So that was basically the invention or the history of sound system. I hope we understand that. So that was how sound started, and sound is still developing even till tomorrow. Okay, and we keep working hard and trying to make sure that we are not left behind. No leave you. All right. So with all of this, we have come to the end of the topic tagged history of sound system. All right. Still under the heading understanding the basic life sound principle. All right. Okay. So feel free to ask the question on the comments, on on DMs and all of that, and I promise I'll reply you immediately I get that. All right. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being there. I love you, and I know you love me too. Take care of yourself. See you in the next video. Once again, I remind your boy, Govin Smart. And this training is brought to you by Govin Sound. Thank you. Peace out.